Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Emily Costantino Lee, and I am the Marketing and Promotions Manager over at the Santa Barbara Independent. Thank you so much for tuning in today to this week's episode of Downtown Business Spotlight. This is an interview series hosted by the Santa Barbara Independent and our friends at the Downtown Santa Barbara organization. We highlight different business owners each week, and it's just a way for you guys and for them to get to know each other better. We're recording this conversation and it will be up on both independent.com and Downtown Santa Barbara or downtownsv.org for viewing afterwards. So if you want to share it, you can. You can find it on both of those places. And you also find all of our previous recordings there in case you missed one. So if you have any questions for any of our guests today, please go ahead and leave them in the chat below, and I will be sure to work them into the conversation. And with that, I will turn it over to our host, Robin Elander. Robin is the Executive Director of the Downtown Santa Barbara. So Robin, go for it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Emily. It's wonderful to be here with you all on Earth Day. We have such a special group of rock star powerhouse women in this room today. And I'd like to introduce you to Sigrid Wright, who is with the CEO and president at the Community Environmental Council. We have Hillary Hauser with Heal the Ocean and Deborah Schwartz with Santa Barbara Beautiful. So excited to have a conversation with you all about our environment locally, and just want to get to know you all a little bit more. So let's start, if we don't mind, with Sigrid. Would you like to share just a little bit about your background, how you got into the work you're doing, and then also for those who don't know, tell us a little bit more about the Community Environmental Council.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm glad to be here, and I'm honored also. Such as you said, it's a great group of women, and in the end, you know, I think it's the women who are going to get things done. So thank you for inviting us here for Earth Day. So I was born and raised actually in the Pacific Northwest in a really crunchy university town of Eugene, Oregon, or primarily raised there, and so was steeped in that kind of ethic. And then my background's actually in storytelling. So journalism with a master's in with a master's in communications management, routed through Washington, D.C. before landing in Santa Barbara. So got a chance to do kind of national and federal policy level work before really coming here and digging into working at the community level. So that's a little bit about just how I got here. And I landed really early on with the Community Environmental Council. It was immediately taken by CEC's solutions-oriented approach. I have a lot of respect for all the groups that are out there, but the one that just really spoke to me it takes really much more of that approach. So both CEC, CEC celebrated its 50th anniversary last year. I celebrated my 25th anniversary. And the last few years, the last decade or so, we've been almost solely focused on climate change. And we have recently pivoted, or I wouldn't say pivoted, actually deepened that work even further. And I can talk more about that as we get into the hour together.
Well, I'm so happy that you're here and sharing with us kind of your deep roots in the work here. And I can't wait to hear more about that. Hillary, I'd love to learn a little bit about your background as well as Heal the Ocean. Can you share a little bit more about yourself with our audience?
Happy to, and I too am very happy to be with this group of dynamic women, and thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
I have to say the Downtown organization is fabulous, and we've worked with them very heavily, putting our heads down the drain and looking for confetti. And I appreciate our flags up on State Street. And so I love the organization. It's been very receptive to some of the things that we brought up about street cleaning and so forth. Not to mention just a great group. I actually grew up as a child on the beach in Santa Barbara. So I remember what it was like 3,000 years ago. I remember in 55 that we had lobsters and seagrasses and shells, and we had life. We had real fish out there. So I've seen the change. But when I was 10 years old, my family moved to Seattle. So I went to the University of Washington, and I'm a Husky, and I studied literature. I read and wrote, came back to California, and immediately got involved in the diving world.
Okay.
And this was a time this is the late 60s. So I became an editor of a Skin Diver magazine, but it was when cameras were first going underwater. This is before Discovery Channel. This is before BBC. This is before any of that. And so my first husband and he was a pioneer in diving. And so we went around the world setting up underwater film festivals to Hawaii, to England, to overseas, back east, because that was the only way anybody could see underwater life was those big projectors with 16 mil film. That's what we showed and got on stage and
how exciting a time that must have been to just show off what you were learning with the whole world. Beautiful.
Well, and then I'll wrap it up by saying that led to me being an underwater journalist. I mean, I traveled all over the world to dive and to photograph and to see and to record and say what the ocean is about. So when I came back to Santa Barbara, somewhere around in 1998, when the beaches started closing because of pollution, I really actually went berserk. I just cried. Oh my God, this is like your mother bleeding in the streets. And this cannot be. And so, and the surfers of Rincon came up and said, help, help, help. And that's basically how Heal the Ocean started. It was just a lot of people screaming, and I was their foghorn, and that's how Heal the Ocean started.
Wonderful. That is really interesting to hear how you came into this work, but also how this kind of came to be. Can you share now what the organization's focus is?
The focus of our organization right now, we've actually, when we started, it was the county demonstration on it was a demonstration on the county administration building. And in 3 days, I typed up a flyer, 1,000 of them, and 1,000 bumper stickers. And on that flyer was 5-point mission. And it hasn't changed since then, 21 years ago, whenever. And it was really focused on wastewater handling as a prime source of ocean pollution. If we're putting septic systems into the beach, which is what was going on at Rincon, and for 7 miles, people putting their house waste into the sand, basically, and interacting with groundwater, and also wastewater plants still putting in not well enough processed wastewater. So all of those things, we focused on that. And then we focused with a focus on getting money to help the homeowners, not just complain and yell and scream, but get state funds to upgrade this. So we've gone into other areas of pollution prevention and that isn't wastewater, but we've expanded in all kinds of different ways, but basically pretty close to the bacteria in the ocean, balloons in the ocean, confetti in the ocean, anything in the ocean except the ocean doesn't belong there.
Well, let's come back to learning more about that. And thank you so much. Yes,
Robin, I know you're going to switch to Deborah here, but I just wanted to, for Emily's sake, the Independent was a really big part of that story that Hillary was sharing in the late 1999, 1998, somewhere in there. There was a lot of coverage, and I distinctly remember, because I held on to it for a long time, a cover story from the Independent, just bummer summer, right? And that's what kind of got everything launched. It was when all the beaches were closed because of bacteria. So that's
Sigrid. Do you still have that issue?
I will look. I held on to it for a long time. Sorry, Deborah, but I just wanted to give that little piece of history because I don't know that Emily would know it.
Mm-hmm. No, that was before my time at the Independent. So thanks for sharing.
Everything is before.
Well, this is great. We're all learning together and we're able to share this with our community. And it's so important because we're such a beach community and we need to know why our beaches are in the state they're in, and or the people and the organizations that are helping maintain our access to the beach, and also what we need to continue to do as a community. So let's keep talking about that in a minute. Deborah, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Santa Barbara Beautiful. But first,
I feel like I almost need to start with saying that collectively, I'm sure that we're going to make sure that this summer is not a bummer summer. So I like that term, and I'm going to be thinking about that. But just a few words about my involvement with Santa Barbara Beautiful. This is my hometown, Santa Barbara, so I have a great deal of passion and commitment in the community. I left for my business career in San Francisco right after college and returned in 2005 to quickly and deeply invest myself in public service in various ways, the community service. In time, someone approached me. He unfortunately is no longer with us. Courtney Steeple, he was an executive with the Tobes Group, and encouraged me to consider joining the Santa Barbara Beautiful Board of Directors. So very quickly fell in love with this all volunteer board. It's a working board. And as anybody knows who's been involved with nonprofits where you have either little to no staff, that means everyone on the board has to be an active, productive, deeply committed member. So I'm very pleased. And to go back in time, Santa Barbara Beautiful was founded in 1965. So we've been in the community, and really all of our projects are with the theme of keeping Santa Barbara beautiful through collaborative funding. We're not so large in terms of our assets that we can be a sole funder. And so what we aim to do is come together with many other organizations to collaboratively fund projects in the natural environment, arts and culture, education. And we can talk more a little bit later. In addition to those types of projects, we have 2 scholarships as well. One is with City College. It's an environmental horticulture scholarship. And it's been tremendously rewarding to meet our scholarship recipients through the years and hear how they're using the scholarship support and the wonderful education to give back to and contribute professionally. And then there are just many other local projects we can talk about, but this has been truly rewarding. And I'm very honored not only to be here with Sigrid and Hillary, but I want to thank again, downtown Santa Barbara and the Santa Barbara Independent for pulling this together. Couldn't be more honored, especially to be in the company of Sigrid and Hillary, and look forward to talking to you more about our specific projects. We certainly are a lean in organization. So we're always looking for exciting projects. I do want to let everybody know in terms of recent decisions, we have decided to significantly contribute to the Santa Barbara Museum of Art master redevelopment plan, along with the Library Plaza renovation project.
Great.
We feel that those are going to be very important cultural and educational contributors in the community. And again, we can talk more later. So to me, we're leading the way, and we women need to lean in and be leaders in our community. And certainly this group, I think, is among that A team that does that.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for all you're doing and all the members of your board that are contributing to beautifying our community. It's truly spectacular, the things that you've done over the years. And I look forward to chatting a little bit more about some of those specific projects. I want to go back to you, Sigrid. The CEC has made so many strides this year. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those highlights that you've been working on and kind of what is different about Earth Day this year?
Sure. All right. Well, So as I mentioned earlier, we kind of used that pandemic time to clarify and outline the next 5 to 10 years for the organization. So as it turned out, well, I think while many other organizations were really needing to scale back, we did not have that experience. We were actually growing during the pandemic and really growing this year. So a couple of things have happened. First, we've moved, we're still downtown. We just moved around the corner, but now we're right on State Street.
Which
on
is
State
awesome.
Street. Mm-hmm. We're at 1219 State, right across from the Granada. And we're looking at building out just kind of like an environmental hub. So we'd have a really robust training center, webinar studio. I was just at the webinar studio this morning, broadcasting for Earth Day. And we're looking to just be an anchor on that part of State Street, actually for State Street in general, and for the environmental community.
It's wonderful news.
And part of the impetus for that is really when you look at what the science is requiring from us right now around climate change, we have to do basically, as I would say, twice as much, twice as fast, right? So we keep saying the phrase lean in, but this is the moment when we have to lean in. We don't have an option. We have to really kind of crush our carbon emissions over the next decade in order to avoid the worst case scenarios. So this is going to require all ages, all income levels, all men and women, right? So it's really like the moment we have to put our shoulders to the wheel. And I feel actually optimistic about that. And we can come back to my optimism later, but I feel optimistic that we have the ability to meet the moment, right? So CEC's mission, the way we're framing it, is reverse, repair, and protect. So reverse means really just quickly ratcheting down carbon emissions. We have some leadership from the city of Santa Barbara that put out a goal for carbon neutrality by 2035. That is many years ahead of the state's goal. Which is a really great example, and we want to see that reflected throughout the Central Coast. And by the way, our territory is Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo County. So we want to see that leadership reflected throughout the Central Coast. Repair is about actually repairing the broken carbon cycle. And the good news is nature knows how to do that. We just have to let her do that and assist with that in some cases. So that's really looking at, the use of agriculture, plants, ocean carbon sinks to repair the carbon cycle. And then that last piece is about protect. So we do know that we are already starting to experience the impacts of climate change. And at this point, probably everybody on this call and almost everybody that we know in Santa Barbara has a personal climate change story, right? So we've all now experienced extreme wildfires, experienced extreme heat. And so our work now is around that. Yeah.
I think it's so much more real now than it ever has been before over the last few years. And now, it's hard to say how the pandemic fits into all of that, but certainly we feel the crush that we need to take major action. And I'm so happy that you and your team and all of the people who are getting behind CEC are leading the charge. Thank you for sharing that update. Can you share a little bit more about, what people can expect for Earth Day, what you're doing all day today, and also what you're doing going ahead?
So we are framing Earth Day around that very theme, around climate leadership. It's about bold policies and really working to bring to scale rapidly some of the climate solutions. Today we kicked off focusing on youth leadership, which I found really appropriate because Earth Day 50 years ago was really kind of founded by youth. It was founded by angry and disaffected youth who were upset about what they were seeing, such as the 1969 oil spill. And they created something that was built around the idea that was being implemented through the Vietnam War teach-ins. So Earth Day has a really similar framing, at least originally. So so we're focused on this today on youth leadership, and then we will be focused tomorrow on business leadership, and then on Saturday on community leadership. And I can talk more as we go along about some of the specific events.
Great.
you can expect that framing. And then the other thing that's a little different this year is a greater emphasis on the arts, right? So I think you all in this call will probably appreciate that. Hillary, I know, is a piano player. Deborah just mentioned backing the museum. So we are bringing in poets like Poet Laureate Sojourner Kincaid. We worked with a group of museums actually to commission a mural.
I've seen a little bit of the tidbits of it coming together. It's phenomenal. Can't wait for the community to see that.
Really, really beautiful. So that was all with a lot of intentionality, and just lovely to see the arts community coming in to how do we tell this story, and how do we help protect what we love.
Thank you so much, Sigrid. I want to go into that a little bit more deeply in a few moments. Hillary, can you tell us more about how our ocean is doing locally, and how, you know, our citizens and our businesses can really support making sure that our ocean is as healthy as it can be?
Thank you for that question. And really, if you don't mind, I'd love to bounce off of
Please
what
do.
Sigrid just said.
Please do.
That, you know, the pandemic has been an opportunity to stop and reset.
Right.
There's a lot bad to say about the pandemic, but stop and reset. And, you know, the sky cleared and we quit rushing around buying clothes. And so I work from home still. And as for what Sigrid said about the angry, disaffected youth, that is how we came into being. And in reading Obama's latest book on America, he makes a point of the importance of protest, peaceful, of course, but of the citizens making their voices heard is a big part of democracy. And so in this pandemic, Heal the Ocean has reset. I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful to be able to say that we've been well supported and probably best in our history. And so we're able to do some things when we just don't have time to go around and argue with whoever, a bureaucracy. We just go out and pay Marburg to get that old boat off the beach that's breaking up. And the balloon thing is, I just have to get this out. We got these calls that up in Lompoc, this prison group, you know, the prisoners in Lompoc, talk about social injustice. I mean, they were just getting clobbered with COVID. And so their wives and their support group were going to release all these balloons into the air to cheer them on. We haven't forgotten you. And so we heard about it. We called them, and to make it quick, we made a trade. We hired an airplane. We said, if you leave the balloons away, we will hire a Skyrider. And that's what we did.
Oh, that's amazing.
We're not forgotten. And so, you know, I mean, yes, it was expensive, but it's just, the expense was nothing compared to balloons blowing all over the city, the beach, out to the beach, and over the landscape of Lompoc. So, but the other thing, and stop and reset, you know, I think a lot of us have thought about all the busyness we were in, and, you know, I feel that we've been more productive in Heal the Ocean. The way we are operating now is we have an advisory board that is active, and they're out there. Harry Rabin is in the field, and he's out there working with the state land, diving and identifying where the next oil cap has to take place. And he's also working with the tracking of the homeless, the sea level rise. And then we have the former EHS director, Rick Merrifield. We've been working for the last week steadily to attack the Los Olivos septic system problem again. And So instead of having a lot of employees, we've got a really strong person in the office, Allison. Oh my God, I don't know what I'd do without her, but we've been able to be COVID distant, but stronger. And you recreate yourself at times like this.
Right.
And you just get busier. And that's where we find ourselves. And the ocean, the condition of the ocean, it will always need work. As soon as we can quit doing things like dredging and dumping and all those things. But we're working to make it as best as we can and to quit doing the unnecessary stuff. So there's always going to be work when it comes to the ocean.
Absolutely. Well, that's important to point out. Go ahead, Sigrid.
Well, I just wanted to, say what a comfort, I think, during the pandemic for those of us who live near the ocean, what a place of comfort and respite the ocean has been, the beach has been. And it really speaks, I think, Hillary, to your work and the importance of your work. If I think we're always aware of that because we live here in Santa Barbara, but the last year has really brought forth how important it is for us to have that place of retreat.
Absolutely.
Can I say something to that? When all LA rushed up here during the pandemic, we were the ones that were pushing them away. We got busy to say, we can't have these crowds on our beaches up here from Whittier and LA and from all over. And so we ended up making a business arrangement with Marburg. We bought more trash cans for every single beach, more dog bags for every single beach. Santa Barbara got pretty clobbered. And so I totally get you. The ocean has been my church. It's been my comfort. And so it's a little hard to see so many people jammed in, but it's getting, it's calming down. And I will say this, that the first time I went to Summerlin Beach after those 2 oil wells were capped, I thought I was in the Virgin Islands. I thought, what in the world? This is amazing. It's a miracle. It's a clean beach that you can enjoy. And it's big enough that you're not crowded in. Excuse me, I'm going off, but I wanted to add to that.
No, that's really so important. We've got to have those places for solace, and we've got to really make sure that we're paying attention to all the different impacts. Like you talked about the pollution factors, the various aspects of human contributions on, when you're going just as a beach goer, bringing your animals out, all of that is so important to being able to make us feel safe and comfortable when we go out there. And also, especially for those who are divers, surfers, and all of those amazing creatures in the ocean that we need to protect. So I'm so thankful that you and your team are doing that work. And we may get a chance to talk a little bit more about it. But Deborah, tell us a little bit about, if you want to respond to any of that, please do. But then also share some of the different projects Santa Barbara Beautiful has worked on over the years that, are either in alignment with kind of some of this environmental work. I know you're big into preserving our beautiful trees. I understand that's one of your main focuses. So go ahead, I'll let you take it away.
Well, and actually, as I'm listening to Sigrid and Hillary, I'm really re-inspired about where I think our commonalities are, our 3 different organizations, in our missions, in our values. And it really revolves around community, and something I personally greatly respect about CEC and Heal the Ocean that I consider to be the 3 C's, and that's connection, collaboration, and cooperation. And I think all 3 of the organizations are so highly respected because of the 3 C's. We come at our work and at our commitment to community, the natural environment. Sigrid talked about the arts and bringing the arts into the environmental movement and vice versa. And I think certainly one aspect one positive aspect, if we could call it that, out of the pandemic is all of us realizing that the breadth and depth of connection in community, we're all connected, we're all affected by it, which means all of our work and everything we do touches one another, whether we're aware of it consciously or not. And I'm hopeful, I'm inspired by this, that I think it's going to provide a new pathway for community connection and community cooperation. And that's certainly on my radar. As you know, Robin, I am running for mayor, city of Santa Barbara, and it's not only an at-large race, but my campaign is a whole city campaign. And I've been thinking so deeply about this, both for Santa Barbara Beautiful and in this other capacity. That's what our community is yearning for. That's what our city is, our nation. And I think that's what we're all working towards, each in our own way. And I know Hillary wants to jump in as well.
I'm twitching. I thank you for that, Deborah, community and connection. But I have to come back to Sigrid, because when you, in terms of art and in terms of connection, you were mentioning that CEC took this time to pull back and rethink things. But you know, during that time, you as a writer, I did not know you were such a beautiful writer, and you were putting out essays. Those essays, they were just gorgeous, that you were sending out to the world about your perspective on what was going on, about the earth, about the pandemic, about life, you were putting out some really powerful stuff. So it wasn't exactly stepping back into a closet. And I appreciated that.
Robin, I also was thinking of a couple of phrases that I heard from Sigrid and Hillary, if I'm correct. I heard Sigrid mention meet the moment. Mm-hmm. And I think I heard Hillary say the word reset. Mm-hmm. All of that really resonates with Santa Barbara Beautiful, and certainly the work that our board is doing. We realize that we are in extraordinary times.
We really are.
I think we were on a path to face extraordinary times. And quite frankly, this is just my view of what the pandemic has done. It accelerated and highlighted the critical crossroads that our communities are facing. And we're either going to face them together effectively or not. And so the coming together of community, even with unlikely partnerships historically, I think is going to put Santa Barbara on a really exciting path. To me, there's no going back. There's no such thing as a return or a reset to the past. It's only to the future, and it's a new future. And I'm really confident and excited about what I think is going to be a new future for Santa Barbara in many more collaborative ways. If we just look at the organizations here, we have the Independent Downtown Santa Barbara and our 3 nonprofits. I think there's no stopping us.
There's a news thing that just popped up on my computer. Sigrid, you're going to like this. Are you ready? The Biden administration proposes restoring California's right to set car pollution rules. Mm. I know the next time I take my old Toyota 4Runner in for a registration, they're going to say, get this beast off the road. I know it.
Well, with that said, there's obviously a lot of momentum right now, not only locally, nationally, internationally, on a number of fronts that are helping us meet the moment, helping us feel like we can meet the moment, and giving, some resources, giving the space and opening for more, and also making us realize that we have to do it. So I'm wondering if, Sigrid, you said a few things earlier about that you are going to have some special workshops or contributions specifically for businesses, community members, and young people. Can you speak a little bit to how locally your organization and the work you're doing is trying to meet that moment, and where where some of that momentum is kind of meeting us that is helping push this forward. And I'd love, Deborah and Hillary, for you to speak to that a little bit more as well after she's complete.
Yeah. So yeah, echoing the same language. We are in this really unusually powerful moment. And it's a combination of both the need, right? And as well as a greater awareness, you know, that both Deborah and Hillary have spoken to the reflection that came, that we had during the pandemic. But first of all, before the pandemic wasn't great for everyone. And the pandemic has really sucked. So I really want to remember that for those of us who had time and the resources to use it as a reflection, but it hasn't been that great. And it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great beforehand.
Even making a stop is one thing.
And I'm not saying anybody was saying it. I'm just reminding us. So we are in this we are in this moment in time around climate in particular. I would say, we have federal leadership. So that's one thing that really gives me hope. But I want to just caution us, myself and all of us, to not fall into this trap of thinking, well, the feds are here, or that climate is a job for governments larger than us or people larger than us. Really, those signals from President Biden are really important, as are national and international climate agreements. They're really necessary. But when you look at the fine print of those agreements, over half of the actions that need to be taken will be taken at the regional, local, or even neighborhood level. So that's kind of the framework by which CEC has organized itself. And we have, the way we're putting it is we're trying to build a troop of climate activists. We piloted in the spring, we piloted a training for climate stewards. It's through the UC system. And now we're hoping to be doing that 3 times a year. So turning out these well-educated climate activists. Later this year, we will be piloting a youth initiative. And then anything that we can do to lift up and spotlight existing climate leaders. So I loved the cover of this morning's Independent, 8 fresh faces in the environmental space, including 2 of our partners. We helped co-found the Central Coast Climate Justice Network, and there are 2 of our partners in there, Chris Ragland and Teresa Romero. I love that we're bringing in new voices, new energy, because this is really what has to happen. Specifically, Robin, this Saturday, we are hosting an online climate crisis summit. It was something that we used to do in person, and I look forward to doing it again in person. But we have about a couple hundred people who have registered, which would be not what we would be able to do in person. It's at 4:30 on Saturday. Go to sbearthday.org to register. And that is being designed, by the way. The first hour will be people sharing, so you'll have people talking. But the second hour, we're going to experiment with some tools within Zoom that really allow you to move around and meet with folks and connect specifically. So you'll hear, so if Deborah wanted to come speak about a specific project from Santa Barbara Beautiful, and she's really clear about what she needs, other folks can come connect with her.
Right, smart.
Robin, could I pick up on something that Secret said? I think that we all fall into those of us, I think especially, Sigrid, Hillary, and I may fall into what is very naturally just an inclination to circulate among our own cohorts, among our own groups. And when I think of this phrase, new voices, I also think of next generation. It's so important that while we're doing our work, our generations, shall I say, that we reach out, connect with, and cultivate a space for and an excitement from the next generations, because that's who's going to take, those multiple younger generations are going to take Santa Barbara into the future. And so I love what CEC is doing, and Hillary has been a strong champion of bringing in younger generations, and we're thinking about that also at Santa Barbara Beautiful. I think there hasn't been enough of that in Santa Barbara in recent years, but I think there's momentum building for that. And I'm very encouraged by it and want to encourage it very actively.
Sigrid, I salute you for the organization you're doing. And I'd like to hear more from you how the activists, the climate activists actually do stuff. But before, I really want to know about that. Organizing people, we had organized beach cleanups and so forth. But I feel the biggest challenge is that we adults be an example for the next generation. We're organizing and telling them what to do and behaving badly ourselves. Mm-hmm. I'd like to say, guys, just pick up your dog bags, please. And while you do that, don't steal the pick up the dog bags, please signs that we put up. I'm sounding negative, but when you see a trash can that's just stuffed and running over and you just throw your trash, we're to be aware. We can be aware all we want, but if we are not ourselves doing what we can right in our own backyard, we don't need organization to behave with respect to our environment. And so I just keep, I think, writing. My view is to write and write. And thank you, Independent, for publishing the things we put out there. And I think it's really important to put out there inspirational pieces that encourage people to just not to really have to need a place to go to or a group, just in your day-to-day.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really important to think about your own contribution and how you are interacting with not only your work and your personal life, but how your immediate contributions affect. I'm wondering, because this is a show related to downtown, can you speak a little bit, maybe say Deborah and Sigrid, about what you think is important for our business community to be thinking about as it relates to climate and the contributions they can individually as businesses really be thinking about as we move towards this 2035 goal and hopefully getting there before that time.
Well, I'll just kick it off, Sigrid, if I could, and then turn it over to you. For my many conversations with both the property owners and business merchants downtown, and then spending quite a bit of time downtown every week myself, I know that if I say quality of life, it's quality of total environment.
Right.
And this is all aspects of how we would want to define environment. So it's the built environment, it's the greenscaping, it's the green environment, it's the human environment. And I don't feel they've been integrated sufficiently in terms of a holistic approach to downtown. I'm not going to get into the planning aspect. That's for maybe another day and another conversation, although that's critical in terms of the future of downtown, of our downtown core. But I think they are all connected, and I think they're essential to the viability and vitality of the future of our entire city, even though it's not just about downtown. We certainly have contributed. As you know, we've with the city of Santa Barbara, collaboratively funded and planted over 12,000 street trees from our organization. We have much more to do in that way. But if I could just sidestep for a moment, Robin, I wanted to mention something as I was listening to Hillary as well. Sometimes our small steps have large ripple effects. And I mentioned the next generation. So this month, is Arbor Day month. There's an Arbor Day where we celebrate trees, which greens our environment, contributes to the health of our air and our planet. And so, for example, from Santa Barbara Beautiful, we collaborate with local schools, mostly elementary schools, which I'll be going to Cold Spring School with some other board directors later this month, probably also Adams. And with the children, we help educate them along with the teachers and administrators to both understand the importance of the natural environment of trees, not only educate them, but then give them direct appreciation. Here's what a tree is, here's how it's planted, here's how you nurture a tree, and here's what trees do for us, do for our planet, give back to us as humans consuming on the planet. So it's this full circle, holistic approach that I think is really important. And we each, I think all three of our organizations contribute in very unique and complementary ways to do that. But since Arbor Day is coming up, I wanted to mention that in our work with the elementary school students.
Beautiful. Thank you. So happy to hear you're working with the kiddos and helping them to learn how to best support our community. Sigrid, do you want to respond to that a little bit? Maybe talk about the business community and how they can be part of the solution?
Sure. I really liked that lens, Deborah. I think that taking that holistic approach is essential. It's actually really, truly what, eco work is about, or environmentalism is about. It's about connecting those dots and being much more holistic. And in the end, you have to realize, and we all do, that environmental destruction and climate change are bad for business, right? And we've really felt that here in Santa Barbara County, where our top industries are tourism and agriculture. And when we have, wildfire smoke coming through, we all experienced that. We experienced what that meant for the downtown region and the business community in December of 2017. We've experienced it with other forms of climate impact, of climate storms. We will continue to experience that with drought and extreme heat and its impact on ag. So it's recognizing that being good environmentalists is good for business. And I said that because I actually don't really like the phrase environmentalist. It makes us sound separate then. And my question would be, do you like clean air? Do you like clean water? Do you like good food? Then you're an environmentalist.
Are you a citizen on this earth?
Yeah. Do you like to breathe every day? That's environmentalism, right? So I'm going to get a little meta here and say that what really has to happen is we have to kind of get out of these silos. We have to get out of this idea that it's us versus them. That's actually what got me into this work to begin with, way, way, way back in Oregon, when the spotted owl was listed as an endangered species, and it was loggers versus environmentalists. And I thought, this is just not a good way to have a conversation. I'm much more interested in, seeing where we have common ground. So it's really about getting educated around the science. The science is requiring this of us. So just starting with that framework, getting to know each other, really listening, deep listening, broadening our lens. So again, the environmental movement has been a bit exclusive over the last 50 years. And if nothing else came out of the last year of the pandemic, not just the pandemic, but the last year in terms of social uprisings and other awarenesses that we had, it's that this is not a narrow lens of the community. We have to be connecting these movements and having much greater dialogue. Policy activism, super important for all community members. And it can be, bless you, Deborah, and others who are really deep in the weeds on policy activism or on policy work. It can be a bit dry sometimes, but that's where actual work takes place. Yeah. Right now, as we speak, the city of Santa Barbara and the county of Santa Barbara are updating their climate action plans. That's a really great place, a tangible place for businesses to engage. The cities and county are looking for that feedback. And then ultimately, it's just remembering that we're talking about systems change. We can all change our own individual behavior, but we're really looking at systems change. And that's what's going to be required of us moving forward. Before I get off that little soapbox, I just want to say, one of the signals to me that we had some trouble right here in our backyard in terms of ocean health was reported by The Independent. It was about 1.5 years ago when we learned that seahorses had shown up in our own backyard. Seahorses from Mexico. Why? Because the ocean is warming. So again, a really tangible thing that we can wrap our heads around in terms of it's time to pay attention. And I'm liking the conversation that we're having here about this being a holistic conversation. Everyone needs to engage. And it doesn't have to be an us versus them discussion.
So important.
Amen. Amen. Sigrid, you know, what you just said sounds like the conversation on the national level as well. And not all of us getting out of our little silos and extending ourselves to the other side and say, what is it you're saying? And I have a tendency to say, don't talk anymore. I don't want to hear what you know. I mean, we have become polarized politically, but it is really important for like you said, the word environmentalist is kind of, I'm not crazy about it, but getting out of our little silos and working together. You know, there really are no barriers. And by the way, Deborah, you on the Planning Commission have done more than, I know we're talking about Santa Barbara Beautiful, but that's part of Santa Barbara Beautiful, that Planning Commission, what you allow to go up and down or be built in the flood zone, or, you know, Deborah's called me sometimes and said, hey, there's this thing has just hit our desk. And what? And run down there and say, no, you're not going to build on top of a landfill here without cleaning it up. So our public officials are part of it, the environmental group. Sigrid, your organization is just kicking rear end. I mean, it really is phenomenal what you're doing. And I just hope to keep up with you all.
I just love the feisty enthusiasm with this group of people right here. Well, as we start to wrap up the show, I want to just think about a little bit of next steps. Make sure we all know any dates that are coming up that are special for each of your organizations that people should take a look out for. And Emily, I want to give you an opportunity to share, you know, anything that's coming up for you, and also a little bit more, if you are open to it, sharing about the front cover of the Independent that Sigrid mentioned earlier.
Definitely. So every Earth Day, the Santa Barbara Independent publishes a Earth Day themed cover to go along with the festival. And this year, the theme is new faces, or fresh faces of the environmental movement. So we highlighted 8 individuals who are doing great work here in Santa Barbara, and I encourage you all to pick it up and read about it. It's a great issue. And if you're hearing these things, and I know Sigrid has mentioned it a couple of times, but the Independent loves to write about environmental issues that are happening right here. And we actually just launched the Mickey Flax Journalism Fund. And Mickey Flax was a social activist. She did a lot of work with social justice and the environment. So we started this fund after her, and anyone is welcome to donate to it. And it goes towards reporting on both social justice and environmental issues. I'll put the link in the chat in case anyone is interested. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Although I do have a question for our panelists, maybe a good last question. What everyone's talking about, like small acts that can kind of ripple into bigger movements. And I'm wondering, for just the individuals watching, like, what is one thing that people can do on an individual level to really make a difference, like today in Santa Barbara here?
Good question. I like it.
Yeah. So.
Well, certainly I think that there is room for everyone to be more involved in whatever their passions are. I mean, we have in our county the greatest number of nonprofits per capita in all of California. So whether it's these 3 organizations who we represent or others, just becoming more engaged in community work, to me, is the important first step. And there is no shortage of that. Robin, I also wanted to kind of give a throwdown challenge of sorts to us. So as I think again about what I've heard from Sigrid and Hillary and my own organization, I think it's time for a new vocabulary in all of our work. mean, Sigrid mentioned environmentalism and kind of what that's telegraphed, how that's been interpreted for decades. And I think for this to be an all community, a big tent community effort, really societal effort, I think we need to shift the way we talk about bringing everyone into the work and inspiring everyone to feel like they have a place. And I think we've not done enough of that. And I think now is the time to do that. So that would be my takeaway and my throwdown challenge to all of us.
I like it. Who wants to respond next?
What? Who's next?
Who would like to respond next? Hillary, do you want to share what you think individuals can do to make it?
Thank you, Deborah, for that and for the work you're doing and we're all doing. I think sometimes the problem is, I mean, we get calls, can we volunteer? It's difficult when we speak in wide terms. I would like to, the people know, what do they do? Do they call us up and say, hey, can we do something? And I'm saying, well, it's right in front of you what you can do. So Sigrid, back to a question that I really wanted to know how you work this group, this climate activists that you're forming. So, that they're out there not protesting, but they're acting as activists. What exactly, how does that translate?
That sounds like a good one for people to sign up for. So go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll come if I know what to do.
All right. So challenge accepted, Deborah. I absolutely agree with you. Also would say to the first question about, what's one thing people can do, it really is about building community resilience, right? And it's all about kind of stitching community and stitching that kind of community fabric. So we all belong to a church, a school, a neighborhood group, a book club, a workplace, or some organization where you can help build resilience in whatever form that looks like. For Hillary, your question is around the Climate Stewards Program, that this is 3 cohorts a year. You come out trained in basically what you can do. You get trained in the science, and then you get trained in advocacy. That was the word you were looking for there. And you can keep watch on our website, cecsb.org, in terms of how to get involved with the Climate Stewards Program. And then I'm again going to point people also to sbearthday.org. This is a 3-day festival. We're nearing the end of the first day. We've got 2 more days, and there's a live in-person climate crisis summit on Saturday. And I also noted that somebody else had put in the chat wanting to hear all of our websites to make a donation. My favorite question. So again, for me, that's sbearthday.org. Hillary, is it healtheocean.org?
Yes.
Healtheocean.org. And Deborah?
It's Bank of America account. XYZ account.
No account numbers divulged today. Yeah.
I cut you off.
sbbeautiful.org. Yes.
sbbeautiful.org. All right. Oh, thanks, Emily, for posting those.
And Robin, I have one more thought if I could. Whether you're in business or education, there's this phrase of meeting the student, the person, the audience where they are. And I've been thinking, if we orient ourselves more towards that, I think we all will be more effective and bring community together and bring community along. And I think those of us who have been directly or indirectly involved in the quote environmental movement for years need to do more of that. And I think that will produce great yields for our community if we do.
Absolutely.
And of course, we're coming out of the inability to be together. We're just finally being able to actually get in the same room or patio or somewhere. But do you remember in the old days, the career days that high schools put on, and I used to participate in a lot of those. And I think you know, those things. I mean, as soon as it's safe to be at school and, you know, speaking to young people.
We will again, Hillary.
Yes,
we'll be back again.
absolutely.
We'll be back again. And I hope next year's Earth Day Festival is live and in person.
Yes.
And I just want to thank you, Robin and Emily. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys were
And
great.
thank you.
Hillary.
Coming back again. We will be here back next week at 3 o'clock. We're going to be talking. We spoke a lot about youth today. It's going to be all about summer camps. So we're going to be talking about businesses that run summer camps downtown, which is an exciting time. Some of those are environmental summer camps. So think about that. And this has been a really great conversation. Community members who are listening, this is an all hands on deck operation. Do not hesitate to get involved with one of our organizations, and let's hit the ground running. When we, you know, we're just at the point, we're back in the orange tier, more things are opening, we can get together, we can do things, let's make things happen. Until next time, you can check out more information about our downtown business community at downtownsb.org. Don't forget to check out all things Earth Day, Santa Barbara Beautiful, Heal the Ocean, and thank you, Emily, for being an amazing co-host every week. So thank you all, and we'll see you next time.
Emily and Robin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Good to be with you all.
Best of luck with everything, Sigrid. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Okay. Happy Earth Day. Bye.
Bye.